There are lots of things you can spend your tax refund on, but one thing you don't have to spend it on, a new smartphone. Switch to Metro PCS now and get not one, but 2 free 4G LTE smartphones for brands like Samsung and LG. Plus, you're on T-Mobile's blazing fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Hurry! Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free smartphones after instant rebate. One heck of a deal, only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
And happy Super Bowl Sunday to you, everybody. This is the Dirt Talk Hour, brought to you by YellowCautionFlags.com, powered by the 110 Nation Sports. Getting a lot of love from the people over at the I-95 network, so I want to say a big thank you to those guys out there. Well, it is Super Bowl Sunday. I imagine a lot of people are glued to their television sets watching what is actually turning out to be a lot closer of a game than I figured it would. Seems like Choke Newton showed up tonight out there in Denver. He's just not looking like the Heisman Trophy winner that he's been looking like for the last couple of weeks, but still got a half of football to play, so it's only 13-7, I believe, so anything can happen. I don't know. See if Peyton can ride off into the sunset with another trophy and retire in style, or if he'll just be able to end his game on NFL's biggest stage. So let's see. Tony Stewart back in the news. He not going to be able to participate in Speed Weeks down at Daytona. Got in a sand buggy accident. Playing out there in the dunes, hurt his back, and it was announced recently that Ricky Stenhouse was going to take over for him. So Ricky got him a ride for Speed Weeks, so we'll see how that goes. Good luck to him. Brian Shirley, last week's guest, had a good night down in Golden Isle. Finished second a couple nights ago, so congratulations to him. He's on his way down to Florida right now to get ready for Speed Weeks, which is kicking off tonight with a free open practice. So if you've got internet, go over and check out the boys at Dirt Nation TV. You got a Facebook page, or you can go to www.dirtnation.tv, and that'll pull you up, and it'll take you right to their channel. You can watch the Lucas Oil boys get down there for night number 1 of the Winter Nationals at East Bay as they practice, and they're going to stream that live for you for free. That's pretty cool. Kind of give you an idea of what's going on, and kind of maybe help you make up your mind whether or not you want to buy the whole package. I know they got packages where you can get 1, 2, 3 nights. You can get the whole week, and it's pretty cheap. So you figure the money you're going to save from fuel, travel, and hotel and all that, you can sit in the comfort of your own home and drink your own beer with your feet kicked up and watch the boys swing a little dirt as we get the 2016 racing season underway. Let's see. Cameron, Wisconsin's Kevin Buzzy Adams ended up being the Sunshine State Mod Champ. He had himself a good week down in Florida and took home some money. So he'll be going back to Wisconsin a little bit richer than what he was, but he's going right back into the race car, so he probably didn't even break even in the long run. Tonight we got a little bit of change in the lineup. Chris isn't going to be with us. He is taking a little bit of a vacation with the family before racing season gets going full swing for him again this year. So he'll be calling the shots down there at the Wynot Motorsports Park, and this racing season is going to get going here in a couple of weeks. So he wanted to take an opportunity to spend some time with the family, and well, that's fine by us. Got to spend some time with the family before you get back into the swing of it. We all know how that goes. It's a busy hobby for all of us, no matter how we're involved. Excuse me. Let's see. Bobby Pierce was going to be with us this evening. He had to cancel. As it turns out, he decided to load up his toys and head on down to Florida and do him some racing. So he is going to be racing every day next week, as a matter of fact. So 2 weeks from now, he'll be on the show with us. So we look forward to that. Maybe we can talk about a couple of wins that he may have gotten in between now and then. So good luck to him down there. Also, we got Tim Bennett coming on tonight, the very popular mobile app game Dirt Trackin, designer, creator. He's going to be with us in a little while. We're going to talk about the game, where it comes from, the idea to spawn it, and all that good stuff, and where he thinks it's going to go. And I got to tell you, it's a a very addicting game. For about the last 2 weeks, I spent a lot of my free time playing it, and I like to think I'm pretty good at racing games. I haven't really found one yet that I couldn't dominate, but telling you what, there's some boys on there who give you a run for your money. So go check out the App Store on your smartphone. Go to the game section and look up Dirt Trackin. It's probably the best $2.99 you're ever going to spend. And once you get all that taken care of, head over to Facebook and go to the Dirt Trackin game page and request to join that group. It is a closed group, so somebody will get that, and you can get in there and start racing with people from all over the country. There's a couple of private groups in there, and I know the boys over at Razor Promotions are probably listening tonight. I think they got a modified race going on right now, if I remember correctly. There's a couple of them tonight, so good luck to you guys in that race. Be sure to look for them, and there's probably some of the best online racers you're going to find right there in that group. So I usually got a pretty good view of the fuel cells as I'm trying to run them down, but them boys are fast. So he'll be with us and taking Bobby Pierce's place. I'm telling you, is an Illinois product. I couldn't be happier about this. We're going to be talking to Jeff Leka, open wheel modified guy out of Illinois, and he very amazing career, very successful. He's announced that he's going to pull away from full-time racing a little bit, and he's going to start helping his kid get into it some, and he's going to start to pull away and not run a full-time schedule anymore. So Jeff's going to be joining us here in a little while. Josh Richards picked up $15,000 down at Golden Isle a couple days. Got him a win down there, so starting his 2016 off with a bang. Well, I got to tell you, I'm not even sure if give me 1 second here, folks. Having a technical issue here. All right, there we go. All right, I think I got it figured out now. Anyway, like we were talking, Winter Nationals going on down there. I know East Bay is going to kick off. I think they're running the 7th to the 13th, I believe, something like that. I know they're going to be running a couple of $5,000 shows, $7,000 show, a $10,000, $12,000. So there's some money up for grabs down there. And Bubba's going to fire up the 8th through the 13th, and Valentine's Day they got a $10,000 Lucas Oil show to win. I think they're going to have some of the racing from Bubba on MAV TV, CBS, guys over at NBC Sports. So be sure and check that out. Check your cable provider and see what time you can catch some of the action. Excuse me. Well, I got to tell you, this weather change up here has really got my voice kind of all screwed up this week, so you have to bear with me a little bit. Craig Kinzer was able to pick him up a win down there at Bubba a couple of days ago. It was good to see his dad, Steve, hanging around the racetrack down there and joined his son in victory lane as they kicked off their 2016 campaign with a big win down there. So congratulations to those guys. And it's kind of strange not seeing the King inside of a sprint car anymore. He's been doing it so long. It's just kind of hard to watch a race without him and some of the guys you grew up with, but that's what happens. So it was good to see him hanging around the racetrack for sure. Let's talk about our first guest, Jeff Leka. Like we were saying, a very amazing career, open wheel guy from Illinois. Man, some killer statistics here. He's racked up a lot of wins, a lot of championships, over 300 wins. He's 11-time Farmer City track champion there in Illinois. And check this out. 2 separate years, this man was able to claim the UMP modified track championship and the late model track championship at the same track at the same year. And he was able to do it twice in 94 and 96 in Macon, Illinois. And that's pretty impressive. I think I know of maybe one other person that's won 2 championships in the same year at the same track. I'm sure it's happened, but not that I am familiar with right off the top of my head. So he's an 11-time Farmer City champion think he's got six or seven, I do believe, track championships at the Macon Speedway. Got him one there at the Lincoln Speedway. 3-time Prairie Dirt Classic winner. He's been UMP national champion, Monster Midwest champion, countless Illinois state championships. I believe he even won a NASCAR Weekly Racing Series championship, the Heartland region, if I recall correctly. So a very impressive career, and kind of sad that he's going to be pulling away from full-time racing. Being an Illinois product myself, grew up watching the man race, and joining us right now is the man with the statistics, behind the statistics we were just covering. Jeff, how you doing this evening?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, not a problem. You guys watching the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah. Got to watch that.
Who are you going for, Denver or Carolina?
Either one, honestly. I just kind of watch. I'm not too much into sports, but something like this I watch.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Playoff time, I'll watch football, but not really a fan of either team. But I would like to see Peyton Manning ride off into the sunset with another championship to add to his collection for sure.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to do that too.
Yeah, it's been a surprisingly not what I expected out of the game. I thought Carolina and Cam Newton would come a little bit stronger than they have, but just wasn't in the cards. But we're not here to talk about football. We're here to talk about this career you've had. We were just going over some of the stats, man. I mean, what a career you've had, man. I mean, looking back on it, I mean, the national championship, all the track championships, everything that you've been able to accomplish. I mean, now that you've decided you're going to step away and kind of pull away from it, you're looking back on it, was there anything that you wasn't able to get accomplished? But I don't think there would be.
Well, I tell you, we've did a lot, and it's not just me. It was a team. Is everybody with me that helped me? We raced as a team. We won as a team. We lost as a team. And anybody in this sport knows it takes help, and you just can't do it by yourself. And no, I mean, like my granddaughters, I got two granddaughters, they go to school and they get on the computer and pull my name up, and they're like, you're famous. I'm like, I love what I did. I do. I can't say I did because I'm still doing it. Am I going to do as much as I had in the past? Probably not as much, but I tell you, we just got back from Florida, and I got a new car, got a new impressive race car out of St. Louis down there, Donnie Jumper, and I'm really happy with it. So we're going back to Florida next week to race another guy's car for him, Dave Mitchell, and then we'll be back here, and we'll start up in LaSalle, I think at the end of March, and then we'll be at Farmer City. So, I mean, I'm going to start out racing and then just kind of through the summer, there's so much going on, I got grandkids now. There's stuff to do with them. My boys, youngest boy is still racing. My oldest boy, he's getting married this year, so he ain't gonna race me. He may drive my car a couple of times, but I told my youngest boy, he can go and race where he wants to race. But a lot of work. Nobody realizes it until you do it. I mean, if you want to run up front and be successful, you have to work on your stuff, all the time, not just one night a week and then go race. You got to work on it quite a bit.
Yeah, and having a race car of any kind is definitely, that's what people don't realize that, don't do this or wasn't in this kind of a family or upbringing, that, racing is a second full-time job that you don't get paid for. You're actually spending money to go volunteer your time for this hobby. And it's like you say, it is very expensive. Without the help, it couldn't be done. But, let's talk about, you were able to pull something off in 94 and 96 that, like I was talking earlier in the intro, I don't think I can remember. I think I may remember one other person that's been able to do it, and you were able to rip off a late model championship and a modified track championship at the same place in the same year, man.
That was at Motor Speedway. That was good. I'm the only guy that's ever did it. Nobody's ever did it. I did it twice. I did it once, and that was great. I'm like, wow, I can't believe we did it. And then we came back a couple years later and did it again. But that's why I was running a late model quite a bit at Macon, and I think we've, ventured off to Farmer City a couple of times, and then that was when I was running with my uncle Jim Leka, which, he was a successful late model driver. And then I drove for Paul Jenkins out of Decatur, and then I drove for Chris Bargetzi, the 441 car, which is down, Highland area and down there.
Everybody remembers that car.
Yeah, everybody remembers the 441, and but that was a big deal just to do that, and then that kind of stepped us up to the NASCAR deal came into Macon Speedway, the Winston Race Series deal, and the first year I think it was in '97, it may have been, we was the champion, the Heartland champion, and then that was a big deal. We went to Nashville and went up on stage and met a lot of people. I golfed with I think Richard Petty and Kyle Petty and a bunch of them guys. And then in '99 we went for it with Jim and John Livingston out of Springfield. We got hooked up and we ran for the national deal and the Winston Race Series national deal, which that'll never be again because Winston pulled out at the end of that year. So I'm the last Winston Racing Series national champion. And we won that deal, and that was a big deal. That year, it was like one of them deals. Anywhere we went, it seemed like we ran really well if we didn't win. I think we had like 30-some wins, not just at Macon, all over. We went different tracks too, but the Winston deal was just at Macon, so we had to be there on Saturday nights. And that was a really big deal. And then that took us to Disney World, so we took everybody down there. And again, I went golfing, and I met Dale Earnhardt, Senior, and all kinds of people. I met Jack Roush, and again, I went golfing again with everybody down there. So that was a real big deal. And then we came back and we started racing again, and we was runner-up a few times UMP national deal. We was runner-up quite a few times. I thought, man, I'm never going to get that. And then we finally got that. In '08, we won the national deal on the UMP deal, so that was a big deal.
I was just going to ask you about your national championship. And being I'm an Illinois product myself, and I was fortunate enough to get to see growing up, a lot of these really, really good talents that we have right here in the Midwest and what we have today. But growing up watching you race and, coming out of the Midwest, and especially the open wheel modified class here, is so tough. How tough is it to go out there and get that UMP national championship, and what was the feeling when you finally got it accomplished?
Well, when I got it accomplished, it was a big deal. They've really changed the points up now, but still back then, you had to race against 60 and 50 cars because you got points. Every car after like 30 points, you got an extra point. So you had to go to them big races. And and I'll tell you, and I'm not taking that away from anybody else, but we've got some of the best talent around here in Illinois. The Midwest right here.
Absolutely.
As far as, late model drivers, look on your, I watched this morning, Brandon Shepard and Brian Shirley, them guys are down in Florida, and Brian had some bad luck there, but we got some good talent around here. Not just in you can go to midgets and everything else. There's some good hard racers around.
Every class. Every class is very competitive.
And I've been seeing that more because the last few years we've been kind of backed off and we ain't raced a whole bunch. We're used to racing 60, 70 nights, and we've kind of backed off. So I go sit and watch the races. Something I've did this all my life. When I wasn't racing, I was helping my Uncle Jim or going to race with Dick Taylor or somebody, And then when I started racing, so, I got to watch, Gary Webb and guys like that. Now I'm getting to see all this. I'm like, wow, it's a little different for me because I've never sat in the grandstand. So now I'm getting to see some of the young talent. And this year we've got a business, I do, so we're going to sponsor a couple crate late model guys here around the area. And then myself and my boy. But it's just kind of neat to see the young talent.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of it. All these years you've been at this, I know you Illinois, you're racing against a lot of the same guys, every night, no matter where you go. All these years, who was that guy that gave you the most?
Well, I'll be honest with you, and everybody thought we was enemies, but Denny Schwartz, the number 21. Me and Denny, we battled it out, and everybody, think, oh, them guys are enemies. We'd run back and forth together. But at the end of the day, we're good friends. And I drove his car because I was racing hard one night, and I got turned over, and it was my own fault, but I turned over Farmer City, and he was the first one in my trailer, and the next day I was driving his car, Fairbury. And that kind of, everybody you see, like, their mouths drop, like, what are you doing? You guys are enemies. Like, no, we're not. And we raced hard, and it was a good deal. I mean, me and Denny, and still today, we talk all the time on the phone, and he ain't raced as much as he has. And like at Eldora, me and him was running first and second in national points. There was only like 7 points, between us. And I ran second at Eldora, and Denny ran third. He won. I ran second. But that's at the end of the day, we're good friends, and that's good. But I'll tell you, you got Mike Harrison, you got Chad Kinder, you got, so many young guys coming up now, and that's what it's all about. We got to, I'm not taking that away from these guys that are, 60 years old and still out there racing. I was just down there in Florida, and Buzzy Rudiman, he's still racing, and he's running good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you look at guys like Kenny Schrader and Kenny Wallace. Those guys get in the dirt car, and they are a contender to win anywhere they go. Yeah,
and they ain't no spring chickens, but on the flip side, I want to, around this area, I want to go out and, somebody see me in the race and say, hey, you wasn't in the way. You was one of them guys that got out of there before you was in the way, because you can, some of them guys, and not saying that about them guys, but you've seen it before, is, an older guy, they're trying to have fun, and, you're racing for the win, and like, oh, my God, you done did it, buddy, get out of here. So I'm not taking that away from them guys, but I just want to be that guy that, I raced so long. My first 50 years, of my life has been going to the races and racing, and are you going to live another 50 years? You don't know if you live another day, but I think I'm going to slow down in the next, whatever I've got, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but I want to spend with my granddaughters and, watch my kids race. If they want to race, I want to be there and help them and share some of my information with them, and because we do a lot, and we know, we think we know a lot, but it's like anything else. This racing changes year to year, and you got to stay on top of things. If you don't, you don't run up front.
Definitely.
A lot of work, and, a lot of studying this and that, and trying different things, and that's one reason we went to Florida, to work with the car. And the first, we got rained out 2 nights. We ran good the second night that we got to race, but it was just a factor to kind of work the car. And now we're going to go back and drive, like I said, Dave Mitchell's, and he's got a different car, but still, you got to stay sharp. If you don't stay racing, some of these guys only race, once a month or twice a month. They're not as sharp as that guy that races twice a weekend. Somebody that stays on top of the game and knows what's going on with their car and stay sharp, you're going to be better.
And you can definitely attest your 11 former city track championships to exactly just that. And speaking of that, man, 11 championships at Farmer City, and you got that place figured out, man.
Well, I do, and we struggled this year a little bit, but all honesty, and I'm not blaming on nobody and nothing, but our business, we were so busy this year, and I just, by the time I got done working on Friday and got to the racetrack, I was wore out, and then some Saturdays we'd have to work, and then we'd drive all the way up to Fairbury, and that's almost a 2-hour drive for us. So, you just kind of get down after a while, and you're like, man, I don't want to go racing tonight. I'm wore out. So this year we're going to try to make a little different changes and try on Friday, maybe work a half a day, and then I get ready and go race and not be wore out. And but work comes first, and I've always told my kids that work comes first. This is a job, and this has always been a job for us, but you got to put food on the table first and then go play.
Yeah, and racing, like you had hit on a little bit earlier, if you're not staying on top of it, it's ever evolving, and with change comes a whole lot of money. Compared to like when you first started racing compared to now, are the changes at a state to where it's getting harder and harder and harder for the average guy to get out there and be competitive with the Joneses and do this on a consistent basis? Well,
it really is, because technology has came so far along on our shocks, and And, you know, before you could just go get a basic, you know, 94 shocker or a 72 or whatever on the front end, and you go out and be okay. But now the cars have gotten so finicky. You have to have good shocks. You got to have new tires. You got to have a good motor program. And if you don't have that, that costs a lot of money anymore. I mean, our shocks have gotten up there. You know, we used to buy a shock for $90, $100, and the most. Now you're, you know, $350, $400 for one. It just, I don't know. The fun is there, but it's not there like it was before. You know, you pull on a racetrack before, and everybody be on the same page, and you'd all go out and have fun. Now it's like, man, you know, this guy's got $500 shocks on each corner, where you got $350 shocks. I mean, wow, that makes a big difference. You know, you see some of these guys go out and qualify and come in and take all 4 tires off, put 4 more new tires on. Like, well, that'd be nice, but you know, if you got that kind of money that you want to spend because you're raced for $600 and you're spending $900, well, you're not going to be around very long, because you can't keep losing money like that, and you're not guaranteed to win. And this deal, you know, anybody, you pull on a racetrack around this area, and I'm saying Granite City, Peabody, Missouri, anywhere around anymore, there's a good 9 to 10 guys that can win a feature. Not taking back in the day, but back in the day, it was, you know, like 5 guys. You know, now you're like, my God! But everybody stepped up. There's new blood, and it's just a change of time. You know, with anything. I mean, football, baseball, anything. You know, you don't do it so long, you got to move on. Somebody else coming in better, faster, knows more, and then there they are. So we're going to keep, like I said, we got some good help, and we got good sponsors behind us, and we're going to go out again this year. And am I going to run 70 nights? You know, if I start winning, well, you don't want to stop. You know, you want to keep it. I probably won't run 70 nights this year.
Well, man, let's reflect back.
I always said when I quit racing, I started in a block number 21. And when I unloaded the racetrack in a block 21, number 21, that'll be my last year. So I've had a lot of people say, your car ain't black this year. No, it's got a lot of white on it, and blue this year. But, you know, it's going to come. And like I said, I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. But it's just, man, I don't know. It just comes to a point in time that, like I said, there's the reflex, my eyes. I mean, heck now, you know, 2 years ago, I wasn't wearing glasses to look at the paper. Now I'm wearing glasses or having the wife hold the paper 2 foot away where I can see it. I mean, it's like, that don't affect you in the race. You know, you can still see out there, but, you know, everything slows down. You know, your response, your you know, can you see out the side of your eyes as good as you could before, and your hearing, you know, I don't have depth, it seems like now. So, I mean, you know, somebody, you know, before, 10 years ago, somebody sneaking up on the outside of you could hear them coming, you know, and pull up on them and you know, break their momentum. But all that stuff adds up. Nobody realizes it, but it does.
It takes its toll for sure.
You know,
man. Let's reflect back on this, man. Over this career, memorable moments. I mean, what really stands out for you? I mean, when the day finally comes that, you know, you put the helmet down and the suit away and you sit back and you reflect. I mean, what's that moment that's going to jump out at you every time you talk about Jeff Leke's career?
That's the thing, you know, me and my wife was talking the other day, and there's so many things, and I'm not the guy that, you know, I've won over 300 features in a modified. You know, I've won late model features. I've won sportsman features. I've won bus. I raced a bus. You know, there's so many things I've did, but it's just kind of neat to sit back and look at some of the stuff. And am I going to brag about it? No. Am I going to sit around and tell my grandkids about it? Yeah. But, I mean, I've won at Eldora. You know, there's a big deal. I won that a few times at Eldora. I won the Springfield Mile. You know, there's just so many things. I ran second at the Coin Mile with the roof half blown off. I was trying to hold it on. You know, it's just, you know, they're just stupid things that it would be neat. We was talking coming back from Florida here a week ago that, you know, well, write a book some of the stuff we did, you know, because not just on the racetrack, off the racetrack, in the garage, you know, just some of the, it's kind of neat that you look back
Yeah,
on
the
things.
best stories always take place off the track.
Yeah. And, the kids that come up to you at the racetrack and the stuff, I carry little trophies with me and give them to kids, after the races that come up. That's a big deal. And, I had a kid, I went to a quarter midget. I sponsored my buddy's boys quarter midget, and I was in there this past year, and this little boy came up and goes, I'm going to give you a trophy one of these days. And I looked at him, and he said, you gave me one. His mom came up and said, yeah, you don't remember that? And I said, yeah, I do. And she said, he still got it on his dresser, but he's going to get you one of these days. I said, man, that'd be great, but just little stuff like that you just don't realize until later on, what you did, and kids look at that and see it, and you try to be, there's times, and I'm not the only guy, but there's times you blow your hat and you're stupid out there, but people don't see that and they don't understand that unless they're in your shoes, and like, man, I've got a $35,000-$40,000 piece of equipment here we just wrecked, over something stupid, and you get out and you throw your hands up and you want to be an idiot. So I've been there before and I've did that, but
yeah,
you try not.
There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of passion in racing. I mean, it's a very passionate sport, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Sometimes your emotions and your temper will definitely get the best of you, but that's part of the sport. It's competitive.
It really is. And my wife gives me a devil about that all the time. You shouldn't do that. Them little kids are like, I know. And then when the next week or so I win, I apologize for being one of them guys. But some of the stuff happens, and you hate it, but it just does. And you apologize for it and go on, because it's going to happen again in any sport. I mean, we see it in everything.
Yeah.
But,
I was kind of wanting to touch.
What's that?
So, I was kind of wanting to touch back on the story you was telling us a little while ago about how I can't remember if it was your daughter or your granddaughter had been on the internet and said, you're famous. And, when you stop and think about that, I mean, I know you say to sit and talk about what you've done in racing, not to be bragging or anything, but, like we were talking about, the Midwest, it's even the best of the best, you can't come there and cherry pick, because that's where half of the best reside. I mean, your name will go down when it's all said and done as one of the best that's blessed the Midwest in an open wheel modified. So I wouldn't call it bragging by any stretch of the means. I mean, you've earned everything that you've got, and man, it kind of had made me sit back in my seat when I saw that video of that you did in Florida last week and announced that you were going to pull away. I kind of had to go, wow,
Yeah. I've always talked about it, and when I was 40, I talked about it, and then we started winning. Winning, and then we won the national deal. I'm like, oh Lord, but it's just one of them deals, and here just not even, I don't know, it's probably a month and a half ago. My wife goes, look at this, and she had her, Facebook. Everything's on Facebook. But, Dixie Bargetzi's daughter, they live down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they went to the Hall of Fame, and my name's in there, and they took a picture of their little boy standing next to it for NASCAR Winston Race Series national champion. I'm like, ain't that something? Now, I've always been told it was there, but I've never, I've been down there to the Charlotte big race, and I ain't going to go in there and see it, but it was kind of neat to know that's in there. So it's just some of the little stuff is kind of neat. I would like to see them do a Hall of Fame for modified drivers. They've got a Hall of Fame for late model drivers, but they don't have one for modified drivers. And I'll tell you, some of the drivers we got around here, they'd be a good Hall of Fame. Guys that can knock down like Mike Pearson, 30-some features. Denny Schwartz, he's won 30-some features. I won 30-some features. And you do that in a year, that's a lot to do. And that's a big deal, because you're not just racing against nobody. You're racing against guys. Not taking that away from the late model guys, but we've got races around here now that pay. Well, last year paid $10,000 to win. This year I think get another $10,000 or $5,000. I've won $6,000 races. I've won 5, 7. I won some big races. It's you sit back and look at that like, wow, we did do some. This wasn't a Macon and Farmer City. We did some big races. So, I mean, that's something to look back on, too, and like, wow. But I don't know. Like I said, at the end of this deal is I'm going to keep racing a little bit, and this year probably more than I have because of the new race car, and I'm real happy with it. And then, I don't know, maybe in a year I may come out with that number 21, and when I'm done with that, put it in my garage and put up on jack stands and go in and look at it from time to time. But I still think I need to race every now and then. My wife keeps telling me, this ain't going to be the same. I'm like, I know it ain't going to be the same, but there's just little things I want to go do too. I want to take my granddaughters fishing. I want to take them boating. I want to, we got a boat sitting there in the garage that nobody uses. I ain't got time to use it. I've got a truck. There's cruises around. I've always talked about taking the little girls, putting them in back. We got an old truck, and taking them on a cruise. And well, when it comes time for that cruise, we're off racing somewhere. But just all that little stuff that I don't want to miss out on because my kids, and I got a daughter and two boys, and they grew up at the racetrack. We didn't do the basketball and the baseball, and my oldest boy did a little, but my daughter did cheerleading, but that was in the wintertime, so we could go to that. But during the summertime, we was racing, and they went along with it. So they know. I mean, my boys can walk up to Shannon Babb and Jimmy Owens. I mean, Scott Bloomquist. They know. And Chad Kinder. I mean, everybody knows my boys because they've been around the races forever. But it's kind of neat because we was over in Indy and went to that midget deal, and my youngest boy said, I just seen Bloomquist. I said, you did? He goes, yeah. He said, where's your dad at? And he said, well, he's sitting over here. I'm going to see him. So the time I said hi, I'm like, that's just odd, that stuff like that works. But, guys remember people, and they remember kids, that's for sure. Yeah. And that's our future as a kid.
Well, man, we're about to run out of time here for this segment, but we've been talking a lot about the people it takes to help to get you to where you're at. I mean, man, I know the list has got to be long, but who you got helping you out this year? Who would you like to thank for getting you where you are? I mean, I know the list has to be long.
Yeah, well, I've got, my guys this year, Chris and Bill and Doc and Ronnie Pretty and my boys, Jeff and Justin, and my wife. And then, everybody on my race car as far as sponsors, I've had them for quite a while, but like Littleton Storm and Timber, Jerry and Kelly Myers. I've got Wiseman's, Deb and Wade Wiseman, and Fire and Ale. They're out of Sherman. I've got my own business on there, Leka Tree Service. I mean, AFCO, and, just all the basic sponsors you have to have, Basso Wheels and Fast Shafts. And, I'm probably forgetting somebody. You know how that goes. I always thank everybody, and it takes some. And, my dad, he was a big thing of this deal, and he passed away a few years ago, but he was always there with us, and my Uncle Jim. But it takes everybody. It just, one guy don't do this. And when we was, winning all them championships, I had Barney Chumley and Dave Rhodes and, Jim Livingston, John Livingston, guys that was, there with us, John Chase, which he just passed away. And just takes everybody to do it. And I've always said it, and I always keep saying it. I didn't win them championships by myself. I didn't win them features by myself. We won them together. And, I'm the guy who gets to stand up there holding the flag and smiling or going up on stage. But I've always said I always want my guys to have to go up on stage and give the speech instead of me because, they was just as much part of that as me. And then, I think that would be kind of neat if them go up and, say thanks to all of our sponsors.
Well, Jeff, I really appreciate you hanging out with us for a while this evening, and man, I've really enjoyed, and I know a lot of people across the country have really enjoyed watching you entertain us somewhere on a weekend, and I'm going to have to definitely try to get out and see you a couple more times before you hang it up for good. But, man, what an amazing career. I'm glad I got to be lucky enough to live in the part of the country that I live in, to witness a lot of this. These championships.
Yeah, and I hope this year I hope I can get a few more wins and make things interesting. And like I said, I'm not done yet, but I'm leaning that way, and going to slow down a little bit, and so that when I'm totally done, I'll be in block number 21. That'll be my last year, and that'll be it.
Man, I'm not ready for that day. But we definitely thank you for hanging out with us, and we wish you the best of luck this year, and hopefully everything works out really good with that new impressive, and hopefully you get to add a couple more wins to that resume before you decide to call it quits.
Yeah, that'd be good. And well, I thank you for calling here or having me on, and everybody for listening. And like I said, we'll be out in another couple months. We'll be out around here going hot and heavy. See what we can do.
Right on. Well, really thank you for joining us, Jeff. And like I said, good luck for 2016, and we'll talk to you down the road, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Jeff Leka, everybody. Illinois guy. You heard some of the numbers. Man, he's had a hell of a career. He's definitely had one of the best, and gonna be kind of weird not to see that 3L out there somewhere in Illinois turning left. Always fields real good looking cars, and always real good equipment. Looks good, care of it, and like the man said, that's what you got to do. You got to take care of your stuff and meticulously put in every spare effort you have into your program to be successful, and he's absolutely right. So to keep up with the Joneses, it takes money and diligence. So, wow, what a career. Like over 300 wins, sportsman wins, late model wins, modified wins. It's got man, like he said, there should be a modified Hall of Fame, because if there were, he'd probably be one of the first inductees to get in there for sure. So he races week in and week out with some of the best here in the Midwest. So really good to see him get out there and rack up a few more wins before he decides to hang it up. So definitely be looking for him. And here in just a minute, we should have Mr. Tim Bennett joining us. Like I said, if you got a smartphone, pull it out, go to your mobile app store, go to the game section, look up the game Dirt Trackin. I think it's $2.99, but it's $2.99 well spent. All sorts of different tracks. It's the first mobile realistic 3D dirt racing game for a mobile version of anything for your Android tablets, your phones, whatever you may use there. So check it out, get it, and practice, because once you get into some of these leagues that are online, I mean, so there are some fast guys and some good racing, really good groups of people. So Tim's going to be joining us here in a minute. He's going to tell us all about where the concept for this game come from, where he's planning to go with it. I know he's been updating it a little bit here and there, so he's definitely changing the game every day. It's got a lot of local guys. He's Illinois boy himself. I know he's got, we got Mike Harrison's on that game, Jason Fager's on that game, Devin Gilpin's on this game, Stormy Scott's on that game. I believe Bub McCool, he's got a couple of the really cool guys on there, and he is going to be joining us here in a minute. We're going to talk about where the game's going, what he's going to be planning to do with it. And like I said, pull out that smartphone, go to that mobile app store and check it out. Dirt Trackin, $2.99, best money you're ever going to spend. So without further ado, let's get to the man that gave us this new addiction. Tim, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good. It's finally starting to feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I know you was kind of down and out, and I was kind of feeling it too. Feeling any better?
Yeah, I spent 6 days in bed. Finally, today I'm up and around. So.
Well, it's a good day for it. Super Bowl Sunday. Finally get to get up, get a little food in you, and be disappointed and yell at your television a little bit.
Yeah. I don't really care who wins, either or. No Bears.
Let's talk about this game, man.
You know.
So I'm stumbling through my mobile app store the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and I come across these dirt racing games. I try them out, and I'm mediocre about them, kind of impressed, and I come across this game called Dirt Trackin, and I got to tell you what, man, it was immediately addicting. I mean, you can't put it down, and you came up with something that a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. And man, tell us, I mean, how'd you get the idea for this? Did you kind of under the same impression of me, just waiting, and you didn't get what you wanted, so you decided to make your own?
No, I mean, I had messed around in the R Factor community, which is a PC game we do a lot of mods for, and me and a bunch of teammates over the years, for about 8 years or so, we kind of tinkered around with that as more of a hobby. It was a free deal that we would build the cars to go on top of the game, and you could release them, and I don't know, I kind of got out of that. I built my own simulators. I was kind of hauling them around to some racetracks around, and that really wasn't, doing what I wanted it to do, and I was just sitting there having a conversation with my mom one day, and I said, I should look at building an app. And it just literally just popped into my head out of nowhere. And to my complete surprise, I got on the App Store, and there wasn't anything there. Like, there's a guy that has some 3D games out now, and he had some 2D games, which are kind of over-the-top cartoon, like Atari type deals, But there was no 3D games. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I had all the models. Obviously they had to have a lot of work done to them. The majority of them had to be completely changed to make them work for phones, because you can't put a full-blown PC model into a phone game. You'll just kill the device.
Right.
But, yeah, it was just an idea that popped into my head, and I looked. There was nothing there. I got a small loan, hired a programmer, and the next thing I knew, I had 4,000 or 5,000 people on a Facebook page way before I even released. And I was like, okay, I kind of felt more like a shoe right off the bat. But
I got to tell you, man, it's as far as racing games go. I mean, I know Ratbag, they did a couple of games. I did the sprint car games for the PC version. I think there was an Xbox game, World Outlaw Sprint Cars, but those games were pretty much kind of the same deal, same company, so you got pretty much the same graphics. They improved a little bit with the Xbox. But your game, like you said, I mean, it's as far as an app game, it's a full-blown 3D game. I mean, how you're talking about how you had to redo almost everything, too. I mean, how hard is it to actually, the man-hours that you have to invest in this just to get this game up and going? I mean, what was the time like?
I worked 8 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week for almost 6 months. And that was pretty much my workload for the first 6 months. That's about 4 months up until release and about 2 months after release. And then I went to Vegas, and I took about 4 days off when I went to Vegas, and my wife realized I was a much better person when I wasn't working 100 hours a week. So she told me I couldn't work 100 hours a week when we got home. So I definitely slowed it down. But I still work a lot. I still work usually between 60 to 80 hours a week, depending on what I'm doing in Max. That's the biggest thing. When I'm in 3ds Max, I get in that thing, and I just zone out. Nothing else is around me, and I'm gone. I'm in the computer, and that's it. So. And
I know you've been working on some updates for the game. Can you tell us anything about what you got coming up, or is that going to be kept under the lid until it's released?
We just finished private races today. Anthony's got to look at one more thing that I'm not pleased with tomorrow morning. He's about 7 hours ahead of me. I got so lucky finding him. I actually owe a big debt of gratitude to the people that do the Drift Mania games. I think it's Rat Rod Studios or something like that. I initially hired a programmer, and there was a real bad language barrier. I was having a hard time getting across what I needed from him so I could do the game the way I wanted to do it, and that just wasn't working out. I wasted quite a bit of the original money I loaned to begin with, and I contacted them, and they shot me a quote to do a full game at $250,000. That was the starting point. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to afford that. And they kind of pointed me to the right direction to where I needed to look to find somebody I could work with. And luckily I found Anthony, and he's actually a partner of mine now. He owns 30% of the game starting December 1st. It just got to the point where we needed so much work to be done, and he has so much more at his disposal than I do. You know, he owns his own company. He's got, 3 programmers, a shader, and all kinds of different people. And now we're not using all these people right now, but going forward, when we start another game, that's where we're going to be. We're going to be paying a full-blown production company to be able to do the kind of things that we always wanted to do and never got to do. Since you're fairly new to the game and might not have a full understanding of where we started, we released this game with single player only. It had no hot laps, no multiplayer, no nothing.
Really?
And, yeah, I was growing such a huge following on Facebook so fast. The demand for the game was just overwhelming. So I like to do what my players want me to do. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. Like, you know, I'm very personable on my Facebook. I try and talk to everybody, and to them specifically. I don't copy-paste messages. I don't believe in that. You know what I'm saying? I like to talk to everybody individually and kind of go over either their questions or their ideas, and we did a lot of that at the beginning. Now I can't so much because there's so many people on there now. You know,
right,
I would spend literally my entire week on Facebook just trying to talk to people, and I just can't do that.
Yeah, I saw you actually on there today guiding someone through some technical issues they were having. So, yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
And then I get on the Dirt Trackin game group too, because you get a lot of people on there now asking questions because that group's grown pretty big. But yeah, at the beginning, I mean, it was really all about what the players wanted. They wanted the game. They wanted it right now. So that's what we did. We got a single-player version up and running. It was fairly smooth. Didn't really have a lot of bugs because it was pretty plain at first. The biggest thing is the AI curve. The AI, they're just dumb on phones. Like, I do everything in my power to make them smarter, and they're just dumb. Like, they don't want to do anything besides what they do, you know. They want to follow that single line. They want to run into you. And I've gotten a lot of things a whole lot better than what they were. Still not where I want them. But, I mean, my main focus has always been par physics. That's where I put all my focus on. You know, we had that 4 months that I worked on the game. And, yeah, I had a lot of time in modeling. I had a lot of time in track building. Just to give you a rough idea, it's about 300 hours to build a track from scratch if you're creating a replica of a real-world track. A fictional one that I'm just building and just kind of throwing together and putting stuff in wherever I see fit, I can do in like a week. But the other ones take a month. You know, and that's even with, you know, I usually have like Mark Ward. I actually talked to him today. So it was a pretty funny conversation between me and him. He was giving me a release for Valvoline, so I could put Valvoline on the car. He does all the marketing and a lot of things for the Conley Motorsports guys. And he had the photographer go to PRP and take all the pictures for me. So I had full-blown pictures of almost everything I needed, except for just a couple of small things I'll still have to add in later, take all the pictures for me. But even when you have all them pictures, it takes forever. If you want it to look right and you want it to be even remotely exact, it takes forever. You're talking about measuring, satellite imaging, and the whole bit to get it all to work, and then you're still guessing at the same time. You know, the Google Earth is only so smart. I mean, it's an awesome program. You can do a lot with it, but it can still only do so much. So you go off of a lot of dirt on dirt.com videos and things of that nature to get a rough idea for banking and, you know, get on YouTube, watch in-cars and things like that. So you take so many things into account just to do one track. It takes a long time to do.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you had mentioned that you really like to talk to the people that play the game and get their input, because a lot of the people that are in the group that I'm in actually, you know, they've been racing for years, and
you know, some of the input and their ideas are, I would imagine, extremely detrimental to, you know, your guys' future plans to the game. And speaking of, what do you guys have in store for the game? Are you planning to take it to another level, or are you kind of just going to tweak on what you got and call it good and start on something else? What do you guys got in mind?
Right now, because of where software is headed, that's the biggest thing. I have to go by what I'm given in software technology and hardware technology when it comes to apps. I mean, I can do quite a bit right now. I can do a lot more than I thought I was going to be able to do. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I see a lot of these apps like the EA Sports games or the EA Games apps like Real Racing 3, things like that. They've done amazing things with these apps, but they're billion-dollar companies. You know, so I had to give myself a realistic goal. The way the cars drive, I've probably been able to do more than I thought I was going to be able to do, because there's nothing out there for dirt. You know, we had to take basically a system for asphalt, modify it, make it work for dirt, and that was where it was really good with Anthony, because Anthony took the time to go and try and learn dirt cars. He still doesn't know very much about them, but he's learning more and more as we go, and he's like, well, send me some YouTube videos. Let me watch these cars. So there's a lot of valve videos getting sent over there to him. I'm thinking about flying him into the States for the Predator Classic this year. I don't know if timing's going to work out for him. It's a pretty hefty flight price. He's from Malta, which is just by Italy. It's a part of the UK, and thinking about flying him in. But yeah, so it was a lot of back and forth between me and him to try and get the cars to drive the way that I wanted them to drive. They're nowhere near where I'd like them to, but to be able to do that with a phone, I got pretty far with it, I would say, so far anyway. Because my biggest thing is I want the cars to be a simulation, but to be able to be driven by anybody. And I think I've kind of got a pretty good handle on that part of it. There's a lot more I'd like the cars to do to keep the same stability in them that I'm not able to do right now. But I think software technology is going to allow me to, and soon. Whether I do that with this specific game, I'm not 100% sure. We have to look at, there's a lot of budgets, and I mean, we sold a ton of apps, but almost all the monies went back out. And,
Right.
I sponsored out to racetracks, events, and race cars more than I kept in the bank. I don't think my wife's too happy about it, but that's the way it ended up happening, because I got to wait for the tax bill to come in and see where all that shakes out before I do anything this year. But there's a lot out there. I can't continue to upgrade the same game for free over and over. I'm not a big in-app purchase person. Like, I may do one set of tracks as an in-app purchase towards the end of this game. But really absolutely have about an 18-month cycle, and then software and tech and hardware advances to a point where you really have to build a new game. You might use the same things, but it's still building a new game, where I would probably have to come out with like a Dirt Trackin 2 instead of taking this game, porting it over, and then adding a bunch of in-app purchase stuff, where I could just come out with a new game. Everybody has that one flat fee again. There's a lot of balance there, but that's probably where I'm headed. I want to do sprint cars first. That will be on new software tech. Not a lot of hardware advances yet, but there's been big software advances in the last 8 months roughly. A lot of it's all still in beta stage. I'm kind of waiting for it to get finalized so I can start tinkering around with it. But yeah, that's the plan, is that we want to finish this game for what we told everybody we would have. Career mode is the biggest thing that I'm lacking. I've gotten to a lot of the other things, obviously. Having to do multiplayer twice was not exactly in the plans. Google kind of got us there. That one thing I never imagined was, Google and Apple give you an awesome platform to do all this, and then they're your worst enemy at the same time because they're constantly breaking your software.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. They got to do what they got to do to keep a head on their phones and their software. It causes us a lot of work. And also building it in stages has caused us quite a bit more time than I would have wanted it to, as far as, doing it single player, and then, everybody's like, well, if the AR cars are going to run us over, give us hot laps. So that's what we did. We were working on multiplayer. We kind of threw it to the side, got some hot lap stuff together in about 2 weeks, and put another update out with hot laps, because that's really what everybody wanted. Then we continued to work on the multiplayer, and we waited. And the Google side of it looks so good and so promising. And actually, I'm really glad we switched, because they ended up dropping the project completely. So we spent all that time, and we actually fixed most of it for them. All the companies that were working with them on this, and we were one of the few, were fixing all their bugs for them. And it was all about getting the Google stuff to work on iOS. And they finally dropped the project because they couldn't get it to work. And we had already switched since then. It was about a month after that, after we had started on the new stuff. I did that for multiple reasons. I think the Google stuff was a little bit easier to use, didn't work quite as well. If we could have got the private races working, it would have been a really good deal, but obviously they were never going to work. So we switched over to Photon. It's a lot more costly on a month-to-month basis because we have a lot of players that race online. Like, we put it out, and I immediately had to bump it up 2 packages because of how many people race online all at the same time and how many they go by concurrent users, which is how many people are on, and then I don't know, there's some other figure that's in there that we were just way overshooting.
Yeah,
so,
there's definitely a lot of people online at all times. I mean, you could be 10 o'clock in the morning, it could be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it could be 5 o'clock in the morning. There's always at least 40, 50 people online playing this game. I think maybe the highest I've seen it was 300-400 at the same time online
right
playing
at 400, and it's typically 200 almost all day.
Yeah.
So and that's growing as more people get updated, and we still have people on the first update that haven't updated. We can see that because they're not on the right servers. Right. So, but yeah, there's just a lot goes to it, and there's a lot of things I wish I would have done differently. Obviously doing it in stages has cost us a lot of time. I really thought we'd be done by now. The multiplayer cost us a lot of time. Just all that stuff has really backed us up to a point where, I'm just not happy with the time frame of things. It's mostly my fault, to be honest with you, not Anthony's fault, that's for sure. But, it just kind of is what it is. We got to kind of go with what we got and get it finished up. And, the private race thing, that was kind of one of the final things to put the nail in the coffin for the multiplayer as far as what we needed to do for it. I got my 10 tracks. I shot for different goals, and I kind of went over that with everybody when we first kind of got started, and even asked that for a couple of months after we got started, just kind of letting everybody know where we wanted to go with the game. We wanted 25 real drivers, which I think we have now. We wanted 10 tracks. I wanted 10 real tracks, but that became almost impossible when I started doing the social media part. Once we hit like 20,000 followers, social media was taking up so much of my time, it became nearly impossible to do both.
Right.
And I would have to dump one or the other, and a lot of times you'll see me disappear from the Facebook for a week or two. That's because I've got my face buried in 3D Max on modeling. And, so 10 tracks is what I wanted. I got my 10 tracks, and I think they're all pretty good. I'm really happy with the tracks that came on board, the real-life tracks that came on board in the game. I think they're a good collection of tracks, kind of all spread out throughout the country, and that's been pretty good, and working with them guys and having them be excited to be in the game, and then, going and doing promotions with them and things like that. It's been really neat, really fun. So. Yeah.
Well, tell me about running out of time here, but where can people go to find your game here?
I know we hit on the mobile app stores for your smartphones or your tablets. Is there anywhere else people can find you?
Nope, that's it right now. Just in the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, search Dirt Trackin. Should be one of the first pops up. Even if you search Dirt Track Racing, it'll pop right up. No, that's pretty much it. I know Anthony wants to look at, we have it on Amazon, but Amazon is constantly rejecting the app. And, I know Anthony's still working on it, but I just kind of, I tell people to buy it on the Play Store if they can, just to avoid any issues. So I'm not having to give out apps after they bought them on Amazon just to get them working again. But yeah, I know Anthony wants to do Windows phones. He wants to do Steam for the PC, just so people have different avenues to play it if they want to. But for right now, that's it. I don't plan on doing a whole lot more with it other than that for right now. Console game would be cool to do eventually in the future, but I would need a ton of backing to do it the way I'd want to do it. I would have to be super picky with the new gen consoles to make a game that I would consider fit to my standards for everybody to buy.
Right. Well, sir, it sounds like you've definitely got a lot of time and money and effort invested into it, and I know there's a lot of people that are grateful for everything that you've done, because a lot of people get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and it's $2.99. Like I said, it's probably the best $2.99 I've ever spent in my life. So a lot of us thank you for what you're doing, and can't wait for the future of what you plan to do, and hopefully maybe we'll see a console game from you down the road with all the bells and whistles. And I can only imagine it's probably going to be one of the best dirt tracking games ever made if it goes anything like this app that you've got, because it is very well done for what it is, and it's hours of endless enjoyment. And
I've heard that a lot.
Definitely being
That's $3 I've ever spent. So that makes me feel good. It's a lot of work, so definitted makes you feel good.
It definitely is. Yeah, I told my wife probably 20 minutes after I finally got it downloaded and started playing it, and I started looking through the cars, and it was for me, it was kind of surreal. I mean, kind of hit home right off the bat because you got Mike Harrison and Jason Fager and Devin Gilpin and these Illinois boys. It's like, hey, check this out. So, yeah, it was something I could immediately relate with.
It was a lot easier to get them guys. I had people that had contacts with them, so it was so much easier to talk to them and get through to them and be able to work with them to get all their paperwork signed. It was definitely a lot easier when you know everybody around here. So.
Yeah, well, we also had a guest this evening from Illinois. I'm probably sure you're familiar with Jeff Leka. He was our guest. He was our guest earlier in the show, and he's pulling away from full-time racing. He's decided that he's been at it long enough. He's ready to spend some time with the family and the grandkids. And man, that next update of that new game, that'd be really cool to see a 3L in there with those modifieds.
I might have to talk to them about that. We can get something done with that.
Right on. Well, folks, Tim Bennett from Bennett Racing Simulations, thank you for being on with us, sir, and send everybody over to that mobile app store and download that Dirt Trackin and meet us in the lobby for some racing after the show. I know I'll be there. And I think Doug set up a race for Atomic and the late models at 9 o'clock, or 9:30, 10 o'clock. So as soon as we're done here, I'm heading over there and I'm going to sling some dirt.
All right, man. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, not a problem, sir. Folks, that's Tim Bennett. Guy that came up with my newest addiction, Dirt Trackin. Check it out in the mobile app store. That's pretty much going to do it for us this week. Next week, probably be back with a full lineup. Chris should be back from vacation, recharging the battery, spending some time with the family. I think next week, I haven't locked this down in stone yet, but pretty sure we're going to be talking about the ladies of racing. Going to do some Dirt Diva action, find the ladies of dirt, and get their take on what it's like racing in a predominantly male-driven sport, and you know what it's like to go out there and run with the big boys. So I talked with a couple of females from across the country and get their take on it and get you caught up with everything that happens this week down in Florida. And until then, enjoy the rest of the Super Bowl. Looks like the Broncos are going to win it with about 3 minutes to go. So Miss Peyton gets to ride into the sunset. That's what we're going to do. We'll catch you next week right here on the Dirt Talk Hour.
There are lots of things you can spend your tax refund on, but one thing you don't have to spend it on, a new smartphone. Switch to Metro PCS now and get not one, but 2 free 4G LTE smartphones for brands like Samsung and LG. Plus, you're on T-Mobile's blazing fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Hurry! Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free smartphones after instant rebate. One heck of a deal, only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.